Got it. Okay, all of you got your assignment issues all sorted out. Where is Sai Mitra or Nancy? Over, if you can hear me. Are you there, Nancy, online? Forward, I just extended by a couple of days for some of you who have done it. But of course, you get a 1 mark lower because you submitted late. A, yeah?
On direct.
Okay. Okay. Good. Right. So let's do some kind of a review of where we are. Can you tell topics we have discussed so far? So give me topics we have discussed so far. Magic? What is magic? Complete the sentence. There's nothing with magic also, right? What is fabulous magic was it? Then four, we have analysis. I actually want to slow down a few things. Is the recording on? Let's do a quick review, and whoever gives me the answer will get. Actually, I got something to share. How many? Five people will get it. Okay, good. I notice I have dark mint chocolate, so I can give it to top 5, but it doesn't oversell. This morning. Okay, so. No, is the recording on? Recording is on. Whoever answers these first. Let's see whoever. Are you all ready?
Yes.
Animals, a star and a question. Two animals, a star and a question.
Yeah.
Go on. Two animals, a star and a question mark.
Cash cows and dogs.
So what are they? What word is it? Magic. What? Who said something correctly? Who said first? We all agree she said first. Okay, so she gets 1. Okay. I'll throw it right away.
Yeah.
Okay. 7 wise men. Okay. 7 wise men. 7 wise men in one location. Seven wise men of a company. Seven wise men. No. 7 wise men of a buying center. What are those 7 wise? No, online. I'm getting worried about my own rating, professors. इतना भी झूठ लोगे, नहीं मिलेगा। Actually, I suggest you jump from that. If I name one and whoever answers, they will get it. The remaining influencer.
Social media.
Oh my God, where do I jump? No. Influencers, gatekeepers.
I don't know.
Wrong. The buyer, the decision maker, influencer, purchasing decision, buying center. Have you all forgotten? No? Don't you remember? No, bad one, tough one. Okay, okay, now you at least you tell me, MOTT/WTT. WTP. This is not school quiz. This is management quiz. Perfect. Very good. And what is MOTT? I will not give you this money. What is MOTT? Money on the table. Money on the table. Perfect. You deserve it, sir. Okay. But you want chocolate? I learned it. You will learn it? Okay. Tough one. Whoever says this, I truly appreciate. In PRIO, what is the qualification? That one term that you will use to qualify when you're going through PRIO. PRIO stands for, right? So when you do an analysis, what do? Am I valuable? So when you do that questioning, what comes? You are either valuable or you are competitive. Do I have a competitive advantage? You prompted her, no? You almost said or you know this. You can't get all the chocolates back. Okay, now this time I don't want. Yeah. Okay, anybody else? Next one. Thank you. You open the wrapper. Okay, we'll try the tougher way. If you don't do it, we'll do it. We're talking about pricing. So what is CAM? You want a hint? I'm giving away because I have so many chocolates. What? No. We discussed. I'm telling you, I'm giving you all because I have a box full of it. That's the hint. Maybe it's written here, still here. No? Who said? Complete the M. Now the double is the M. It actually you can do it. You got the consumption of this set. Perfect. No, you're all wondering, am I the you thought it was accounts, no? Correct, because that change happened in the morning. I am having sound here. Okay. She'll get. Of course she'll get. Now, how many have I given up? Okay, two more. Okay. Then they have a class to do. Um, well, now, if somebody actually answered it, give me the various types under diffusion of innovation theory. Please repeat it. You may have to repeat the text if you don't know this. Diffusion of innovation theory. Class 1. Okay, I'll give you one more. Can I give one more? It replaces PLC. What is PLC? Product license. Yeah, so it replaces product. You don't get for PLC. That's too natural. PLC got replaced by a new way of thinking, which is diffusion of innovation. And somebody actually gave out this answer thinking it was the answer for something. Early adopters. Early adopters. Now you will complete all of them, then you will get all of them. Where are you going? Early adopters. Early adopters. Early adopters. Lagat. Last is early Lagat. Which of the decide between the two. I'll give you both. Okay. I already got both. How that? Somebody put it down. Okay, you got it done. Done. Good job. I also had other questions, which I'm sure you all people. PSP. PSP. What does PSP stand for? Customer acquisition. Customer acquisition cost. Then ARPU, ARPU. Average revenue per unit. Per unit or whatever. WOM. You know this before you join the class. Word of mouth. Word of mouth. Then, right. Give me two comparisons between sales and marketing. What is the difference between sales and marketing? Target customers. Okay. Three differences between B2B and B2C.
B2B and
I'm almost giving away the question paper.
B2B keeps adding the values on every stage, and
Very good.
B2C doesn't add.
Doesn't add. Yeah, that's one. Second.
That is B2B.
Okay, good. Well done. And for those of you who got the chocolates,
Sir,
enjoy.
I want you to explain the difference between the sales and marketing. I've been struggling with this answer for a while. No, it is there. I want you to explain.
But I explained it previously, last one. You were. Okay, what is the difference between the 4 C's and the 4 P's?
Product, pricing, promotion, and integration.
So, but what is the difference? What is the difference between 4P and 4C? And that's exactly the difference between sales and marketing.
The difference of product and
Yeah, the 4 P's are from the
product.
other companies, whereas the 4 C's are from the customer. So a sales is to sell what you have. I have this product, go and sell it. Like you have those guys on the road, they come and talk to you and say, you want to buy this encyclopedia and all that. What do you think he's read the encyclopedia? No. What do you think he's done? He's just selling a product. He's selling a box of tissues. He's just selling. He's supposed to not have any other intelligence. Marketing actually listens to. Then the customer comes back and says, no, very painful for me to remove the tissues from the box. That's a feedback. So marketing looks at the world in the eyes of the customer. Whereas that's why 4 C's is new. 4 P's are very old. Everybody knew what are the 4 P's. 4 C's will look at it from the customer. Okay, good. So, well done. Now, what do we do? All this is very nice, very good, lots of learning. But this is a dog eat dog word, right? You know what does it mean? What does it mean? That is a very competitive word. Nobody is going to allow you to survive. So, what are the kind of typical challenges that a company would face in a very competitive way? Give me the answers. Assume that there's lots of competition. What are the challenges that a company faces? Of course, we know the price is a big. Forget the price. What else are the challenges?
Marketing.
Huh? Yeah, they will have a marketing team which will face the challenges, but what are the challenges?
Manufacturing product. Talent.
Talent,
New,
okay, no, competition.
new technology.
But you mean the competitor going to do with you? He will deliver. Yeah, go ahead. Go, both of you.
I think new technology and innovation.
So what happens when there's a new technology? What happens to you? To you? Do you adapt? Or if you don't adapt, what will happen? So if your company, which has been running some business for the last 25, 30 years and happily running, one fine day you are what? You're outdated, you're obsolete. And now, technology obsolescence is very fast, right? I can't sit and say, I know Oracle and for the rest of my life, constantly you have to learn. That's one thing. What's the other challenge? From a competitor. From a competitor. What is the other challenge?
Channel of
Channel of communication could be another problem. What else?
Marketing strategy.
He told that technology can kill you. Correct? What else can kill you? A marketplace can kill you. How is
Yes,
that?
example, 10 years back, maybe physically we were going to the places. Now it's the online, I think, even now, you can call technology. I
Or you can call it by now. Where? What else? What is that? Unreasonable pricing. Okay, but we don't discuss price in this. Okay, I know yours is a valid point. Somebody will come with what is known as, what is it? Predatory pricing, things like that. What is predatory pricing? We discuss it. Come to kill, come to kill. So then, but we don't discuss pricing, because we don't.
Customer interest also change.
Customer interest will also change. What else can?
Marketing strategy, what?
Marketing strategy of somebody else may get better. So let's look at what are those 5 things that we talk about. One is you have a competitor who can come and kill you. That's there. Existing competitors kill you. There could be a new entrant to the market who can just change the whole business. Like who? Jio came and totally disrupted. I never thought I will ever face a company called Jio in my competition when I was at it. I was thinking it will be BSNL or Vodafone or somebody else who will come and do something. And from some nowhere, this guy called Jio comes and disrupts me. Then the buyer himself may not buy your product. Whatever the reason, sorry, I don't buy your product. Or you could have a supplier not selling you. Sorry, I'll not sell you. Example. We have a big problem like that happening right now. Or there is an alternate media that is available. Why should I go come to you? I have something else to do. So Porter's 5 forces is based on an idea that was devised by Michael Porter. He said, let's analyze the nature of all these components and how they behave. Okay. So what are these? We will we'll look at it from what is the need for it? Because there is an entire globalization is happening. You don't know from where your next competitor could be. Your competitor could be anybody else, any other part of the world. And all along, remember, you must have a competitive advantage. Otherwise, you are out and gone. So, Porter's 5 forces, we'll skip all of this to go into 5 of them. What is it? Let me read it out for you. One is competitive rivalry within the industry. What does that mean? Rivalry within the industry.
Competitors again, they have same product.
Same product. So what happens? Now you have a Geo walks in. I mean, it's actually very tough for a professor to talk about management on marketing without using Geo, Apple, Facebook, Google, these are all so embedded in our lives. So what happens? Geo enters, Airtel cuts the price. Airtel cuts the price, Geo cuts the price. And what happens to the industry? The industry itself will collapse. That's what is happening to the airline industry. Like everybody wants to enter the industry. All flights are full. Everybody is traveling. I just came back yesterday morning from a travel and huge queues. But every airline is not making. So what is because there's so much of rivalry happening within the same industry that they are cutting each other, and the whole industry is causing a lot of damage to them. That's one problem. Then threat of new entrants. All of a sudden, a new guy came, like I told you, maybe Akasa Air is coming, or now Paytm thought they were leaders, and somebody like Google Pay came in later, and we really have a problem on it. So a new entrant can come and totally kill the kind of existence that you were having, the good, nice life that you were having, you take it for granted. And then a competitor comes, a new entrant comes, real life is. Then bargaining power of the customer. What is bargaining power of the customer? How can a customer bargain? In a B2B market, not in a B2C. Some bargaining can do. How can a customer do a bargain?
By volume,
By volume? So what happens? What do you mean by volume?
they are getting a big volume, they can get some rebates or discounts.
So what happens? What will the customer tell? Let's say I'm Times of India. Or what is the owner company of Times of India called?
Instant,
What is that?
instant.
No, it is not East India Company. It's called Bennett and Coleman. Bennett. Yeah, so Bennett and Coleman is the parent organization of Times India, which is the other publications that they do. Economic Times, then you will all read Bangalore Times, no? Every day, Russian in Madras. Bangalore Times also comes from Bennett and Coleman. Now you can understand. So what do? They are the largest newspaper company in the world. The maximum amount of news readers virtually from all over the world comes from one publication per time. Now, what is the basic raw material Times of India needs? Paper. Now, they say, I don't like your paper, I'm not going to buy it. The raw material. Imagine what will happen in this company. They are the biggest consumers of that product, and they say, I'm not going to buy it. So that is the bargaining power of the customer. The customer can dictate how and what you can do with it. We'll talk how damaging can he be to you. The other is the threat of substitutes, right? I don't like your product, I'll take somebody else. So till now, we were all, actually the auto drivers were having some great time till Ola and Uber came. It was very simple. Martira, what is the answer? Banana. So anyway, so that is what was his bargain. And now we have Ola, Uber, and we book and we do it our way. Now he is willing to. I remember one day, somewhere I was waiting for an auto, and this gentleman came to me and said, "Auto, I'm waiting for Uber auto." You virtually kicked the lot. I said, you deserve it. There was a time when I asked you and you would not. So the threat of a substitute is enough for you to be replaced by it. And we'll talk in greater detail. Right now, we are sticking on in the marginal area. The bargaining power of the supplier. This is bargaining power of the customer. What is the bargaining power of the supplier?
The company depending on suppliers.
One particular supplier, and he says, I will not supply. Yeah, so something happens. For example, the bargaining power of supplier is what if right now we are, let's see who can get it. Right now, in the global situation, there is a huge bargaining power of the supplier. Russia is saying, give me Ukraine or else cut off the oil. That's the bargaining power of the supplier. So we got a rough idea of what is happening along 5. Threat of new entrants, bargaining power of supplier, threat of substitutes, and bargaining power of the. And of course, the big battle that is happening inside the industry. So let's look at each one of them. The more and more of such pictures so that you understand them better. And typo here will not bother. Okay. Why is it not going? I think it is. So we'll talk about competition rivalry in the end. I don't want to bring up competition rivalry in the very beginning, otherwise you will not be able to understand what it is. We'll look at the first one.
Professor, may I ask one question?
Yeah, sure, please.
Yeah, delivery lead time. So this is applicable for both customer and supplier, but where it will go and fit, sir?
I didn't understand you.
That delivery lead time, right? So
Deliver lead time.
yeah, so it is applicable for both supplier and customer because everybody would like to bargain as far as delivery is concerned.
In terms of delivery or in terms of pricing or in terms of everything? Or no, if
In-
you
in
can
terms of delivery.
give me an instance, then we'll talk about it. If you have
In
something.
terms of
Yeah.
in terms of delivery, any materials delivery?
Yeah, so, well, okay, so you're saying, material delivery is one of the parameters for any purchasing, right?
Right.
Now, I price my product at $20. I have a 3 months delay in shipment. Somebody is going to price it at $22 and I'm willing to give it to you immediately. That's a call that you must take depending on what's your urgency. So if you don't make that decision, then it's up to you. If you're willing to wait for 3 months, then you get a better price. Does that answer your question?
Right, sir. Thank you.
Okay, fine. So now what is threat of new entrants? Let's look at it. What does a threat of new entrants mean? That when a new person enters the market, you're definitely going to lose some of your market, right? It's very true. Somebody walks in and then there is going to be some kind of a loss of market. So the question is, we are discussing Porter's 5 forces in 2 ways. What are the 5 threats and how do you stop the threat? So now my question, let's take this up. I am worried that a new fellow will enter and he will take away the market. That's a fact of life. So how do I stop him from it? What are your suggestions? How do I stop him from entering?
I think you do the market research and you innovate.
You do the market.
Research and innovate your products in such a way. Even if the new entrants come, they will not kill your.
So you have some unique services that you have, and that way you will ensure that, okay, that's one thing. What else? Reducing the price we are not discussing. And again, price, generally, I don't want you to give importance to price. Price is the least important thing in the fourth piece. If you have product, then you have, what is it? Promotion, place, and then you better make it well. And smaller. Price is really not very important. Price is really not important. And all of us are willing to pay a higher price if we know that the quality is good. And I'll give you all instances, like we discussed price, I'm willing to pay higher price as the price. Good. I'm willing to pay if I get it at my convenience. And then if I feel good factor, we discuss all of that in the thing. So don't give price is the most important thing. We generally believe that price can kill a market. Not necessarily, it can give a temporary advantage, but then finally it will fall. And I'll give you a situation from my own life. I used to earlier work for, just because you brought up price, and I believe that I should give you this feeling that I used to earlier work for one of the largest satellite company worldwide. Okay, so I was handling a very, very large market, right from Asia to most of Africa, things like that. And really dominant player in the industry, a very, very dominant player in the industry to such an extent that customers would come and request for a meeting. Yeah, sorry, I don't like you. I'm not giving you that was the kind of an arrogance that company had. And they were brilliant. They were wonderful company. And then I and a couple of us decided that we should start our own, doing exactly what our earlier company was doing. Because I thought I knew all of them. Wow. I know Jyotsna, who is the head of some broadcast. I know Ramya, who is the head of another PSAT. And we are good friends. There's no way that they're going to say no to me. And so we confidently decided to do it. And then I knew my customers. After all, I worked like a donkey for about 18 years in the whole market. And I moved in from engineering. I had another colleague of mine who moved in from marketing. And then actually I had a boss who was also moving, so he was the head of the whole. Well, when I go and started meeting up this customer, they say, good, nice to have you and all that. So I said, yeah, why don't you take my service instead of the previous. Yeah, sure, Ramesh, let me think about it. I said, no, thinking about it. Come on. I remember the beer I paid for you. It's something like that. And then he says, yeah, but you guys are just three of you. Yeah, I said, no. My phone never switches off, my thing and all that. Okay, but what do we do here? How do I go and tell my boss that I can take it from you? Please, you tell me, hey, reduce the prices. Then how can I reduce the prices? No, if you really want to enter the market, reduce the price. So we go huddle up, discuss and say, okay, 30%, 30%. No way, it's impossible, but we'll go ahead and do it. And they said, listen, we're giving you 30% off for the first year, but just to convince you what is happening. And then I'm sure next year, we can't manage that. So I enter the market, I actually throw out that major supplier and I enter the market. I'm sitting there so happy I did it. But every time we are not making money, we are actually burning money because I give it 30%. Then I go there at the end of the year and say, hey, we've done well, we have great man, you guys really supported us. And next year, what you need to make it is give us some higher price. Actually, wanted to talk to you about this, is what my customers tell me, is that they have come back and said that we are giving you 40%. Now, how do I know they have come back and gone? Is because I have got into a loop, which I have, or a web that I have put myself in on a factor for price. And so now I will only go deeper and deeper and no way. So he says, Ramesh, if we further discount, I'll go back to it. And he will, of course, go to the competitor and say, this is the price. I know you can't match it, but come close to it. So he may not get 30% discount, but he might still get a 20%. So price is such a very delicate thing. It tells you that you will enter the market. You will take the business, but you cannot sustain on that price alone. You must enter with price, give lots of other things, and then maybe you say that if you don't take my product, there are a lot of other things. We'll discuss about what happens into it. So price is important, but price is not the reason for us to survive in the market. I hope you guys get it. Okay, so threat of new entrants, price stop. So how do we stop the new entrants? This is think big, think don't look. Think at how does Indigo stop a new airline from coming in? How do you think Paytm would have tried to stop Google from coming in? How do you think Amazon would have tried to do to have Jio coming in? What is the big thing that they did? Which was it? Patent is one thing. What else would they? Tap on market is also good.
But it should increase the willingness to pay customers.
They would increase the barrier of entry. You know what it means? For a new player to enter the market, there must be a barrier. What does that mean? Is that the new player must have already done business. The new player must have a market business of 100 crores, or the new player must have already delivered such services. So the barrier to entry is that he does not qualify to enter the market. This is what the barrier to entry is. You build a wall so that he doesn't enter. What does the wall mean? That, for example, when Indigo started business and when Kingfisher started business, there was only Jet Airways, and Jet Airways was very powerful. They could actually play around with the government. So they said they tried 100 ways to stop a new entrant coming. But then when they came in, they put further conditions. You know, the new entrant can only operate in locally. The new entrant cannot operate in international. The new entrant must have minimum 50 planes to start the service. Do all kinds of things to ensure that it is just not technology, it's not pricing. You create an artificial barrier to it. You understand what it means? Is that you create a wall. You create a wall so that nobody can enter. That wall, how do you cross over? So, if explaining it further, are you all following me? The barriers to new entry is the trade of a capital required. Qualification to entry. You must have a license to operate. That means I want to start a business, I must have a license. But I can't start a business, I can't get a license unless and until I have a share capital of 10 crores. Or unless I have already delivered some services to the government. How can I ever do that? If I'm a startup, how can I ever? Only if the government gives me the order that I can start with. So somebody is going to create a requirement document which will make it very tough for the new people to do. So you look at any industry in India. You see everywhere it's always the Birlas, the Tatas, the Reliance. Why? Because they create an artificial barrier to it. Any government project, it's either TCS doing the passport project, it's either the Reliance doing some other project. It's always that because the new startups don't get that. Why? Because they build an artificial barrier to entry. They must have 100 employees. They must have done projects in 5 states. But how can I ever then work for the government if I don't have this? So, pardon?
Like, how is it being set up? Like, or something?
Because they haven't tied to the government. So they influence the government to make sure that this kind of activity. But this is there are lots of other countries, things happen little different. For example, in the US, they have, the government says, we have governmental tenders, which the big ones are not allowed to. So they say we have a requirement for, let's say, 1 million, or I say 10,000 computers. The existing top 5 players cannot compete. It's the bottom 5. So that way you encourage the guys to come in. So once you have delivered 10,000 computers, then you now can qualify to go ahead. But at every stage, you say that you must have delivered something like that. So that is what is known as the barrier. So you understood one, the threat of entry and the barrier to entry. So you.
So basically, this will be applicable for the larger business or only for the, I mean, it also will be applicable to the smaller business, which is.
It's generally applicable to larger businesses. It's generally applicable to larger businesses, but then you can also do distribution channel limitation. You don't allow, for example, lots of places you could not get Patanjali products in the very, very beginning. Why? Because Hindustan Liver and Procter & Gamble had some great distribution channels. And the guy will come and say, hey, don't give Patanjali products. Otherwise, I'll not deliver you. So now you know, you control the distribution channel, so you don't get it. So now how can you do that? The poor fellow, he lives on all the stuff that comes from Surf and Colgate. And then he said, I don't want. So then Patanjali has to have exclusive shops, slowly enter into the market. So that is what is the threat of entry. So we are talking threat and barrier. Now, what is the next one we are talking about? Buying power. So what is buying power? Is the ability to buy. Exactly the example that I gave you about times of living. What is, how do you eliminate buying? If the customer says, I'm not going to buy your product, what do? Look at alternate users, look at alternate ways in which buying power, the customer who collectively buy the product, then the cost of exit. This is what you need to buy, cost of exit. The buyer cannot exit at his choice. You have a contract with the buyer saying that I'm going to buy it for 5 years. So you have a contract, you break the contract, you have to pay for 5 years and do it. So you ensure that the cost of exit doesn't make sense for the buyer to move on. Typical example, very, very typical example is that I have an existing connection from ACT. Now ACT gives me 6 months. If I take, I get one additional month 3. So now the Airtel guys are coming and giving me an offer. Now for me, it's not just 6 months. It's also that 1 month which I've got there. So I said, no, I won't take your service now. Let's wait for that 7th month to go on. So when I'm approaching the 7th month, and these guys know it. At the 5th month, they tell you, sign up now or the prices will increase. So what are you doing? You are actually playing with the buying power of the customer. Your cost of exit is going to be very, very high. Making sure that and this is probably where you drive down the prices by saying that if you sign up now, we'll give you a lower price and then hang on. So one is buying power of the customer who's so large. For example, buying power of customer, or which one do I look at? Yeah, maybe we look at buying power of the customer. One of the very popular stories which come out of the Indian e-commerce market is a company called Rediff. Does any one of you know Rediff? Rediff, or you want to call it Rediff? Anybody knows this? What do they do? You heard it. They are among the first e-commerce companies. They are one of the first e-commerce companies. So that person keeps telling a lot of stories. And of course, you know this company. Snapdeal. Okay, so let's begin by the buying power of the thing. So the Rediff story on e-commerce goes like this, is that there is this woman in Surat, very poor woman, and she's making her life to survive somehow. And every day she does this artwork on the sarees, whatever you call it, something or whatever work, she does that. And virtually goes to every shop saying that, why don't you display my products and buy? So the buying power of that shops are so strong that they tell her that you leave it with us. After we have sold it, at the end of 3 months, we'll give you it. But she has no other options other than go to these shopkeepers in Surat, because one, she's poor, she has limited accessibility, and then she has to agree to whatever terms of payment that they do. Till she discovers Snapdeal. And then she advertises in Snapdeal and she's at 200 crore. So the buying power of the consumer is now broken up because she has now found an alternate mode of trying to make an entry. Okay. Making sense? Then what do we have? Then the supplier power. Actually, this is more like the example that I gave you is more like the supplier power. It is more like the supplier going to every other place and requesting, and then finding out that they're not able to do it. So the supplier have to sell their products, have the power to sell. How do you manage? By developing other suppliers and the sources. Then what do we have? Threat of substitutes. What does threat of substitutes mean? Is that I have some other option available and hence I can move into something else. So how do you beat? And it happens all the time, right? I mean, there's something else comes, some other product comes, some other services. So how do you beat the threat of substitute? How do you ensure that your customer doesn't move out?
So you're getting a
Like one is, now take Apple versus Android. Now, hopefully you guys are following me on this, is that it's so easy for you to move from Android to Apple. It's so difficult for you to switch from Apple to, I believe so, and I'm sure all of you have that. So what do they do? The threat of new substitutes is not going to solve the problem, because the new player is not going to be compatible with the thing. Let's say we have a USB, a different kind of an interface. Our powered socket is very different, or we use a different protocol. And all your systems are running on my protocol. And what happens if you switch to somebody else? Sorry, our machines don't talk to those machines. So you're stuck with these things. So the threat of substitutes can be managed by the guy by giving him a very, very difficult to move out. Switching cost. The cost of switching from one to another is going to be very, very high. So we have completed threat of entrance. And what did I say here? Making entry club. Bombay Club, license Raj. Yeah. So the threat of entrance means that the new player should not enter. And what they said is everybody should have a license. So, and make sure that nobody gets, by making sure that your comment is in your favor and all that. So when India opened up, all those Indian companies like Mafatlal Mills, Fiat, Ambassador, all those guys said that we should not open up for foreign companies to do business with. They tried to do a lot of ensuring it doesn't happen. Act versus Airtel versus Jio. I'm trying to remember what it is. Yeah, I think in some way I told you. Okay. So the threat of a new entrant, when Jio was entering the market, and I used to interact with the guys in Jio. So I used to ask them, when are you starting operations in Bangalore? He said, Bangalore is going to be very, very late. I said, why? It's because overnight they cut the cables. Even that's the most funniest thing that I have seen in every other city. It doesn't happen, but in Bangalore, we lay a cable, somebody in the middle of the night cuts it. Just because it could be hacked, it could be react, or whichever that company is, you do anything by virtually cutting it off. So this is threat of nuisance, bargaining power, make exit expensive, and miles accumulated, things like that. Then make the tech adoption transfer very difficult instead of substitutes, bargaining power of the supplier. I told you how it works. And finally, competition rivalry within the industry. What is competition rivalry within the industry? It's all of you fighting with each other. I want more marks. I want more marks. Sir, he copies, sir, they copy, all of that happening. But if you all join hands to, then you can take the customer for a complete ride, right? So when there is rivalry, the customer benefits, but then there is unity, they can take you for a ride. There are lots of companies which do this collaboration, and that act of joining hands together is called, where is that word? That was the topmost one, right? I said I'll talk to you about. Yeah. Competition rivalry. Imagine two of them fighting with each other. But if they join hands, they can take the whole customer for a ride. They can join hands together and make sure that they make the best deal. So in a lot of tender documents, you will notice that all the competitors will have similar prices. So you join hands together, you get this business, I get my business. There's no really a fight. So Porter's 5 forces said that there are 5 issues that we encounter, and this is what they are. Any questions on this? Are you perfectly clear? What is the time now? Yeah, 2:20. Okay. We'll take a break and then come back. And then when we come back, we will, maybe I'll introduce you to one chapter and then we can start. There's some comment here. Let's see. No comment.
So we usually take a break 3.
3. Yeah, so we'll continue. Very good. Sure, why not? What do I open now? Marketing. So we'll take a break of 3, as you say so. Which means that I'll have to share a new one. We need to discussion on how long do we discuss? One full hour, you want to discuss among yourself, not that. But that's what I've been doing every minute with you. So then last topic of the module says, discuss with the professor. You want my Google Pay number? Okay, fine. Before we discuss that, do this. Which are these companies? This one?
Amazon, Adobe.
This one? C5 online. I'm sure you can see. You can wake up an answer. Autodesk.
No, that day.
What is this? A1, B1. B1 is BMW.
B2. Going.
Going, very good. And everybody knows what is B3. Avash. And what about A5? A6? Linux? No? I thought it was Linux, maybe. What is this one? CC? C6? Suntech or Sun Systems? Or what about B5? B5 is what? T-Mobile, have you heard of T-Mobile? What is this?
TNT.
AT&T? And this is? Hindustan Liver or Unilever, this is? This is
British Petroleum.
Sahara. British Petroleum.
No.
Adobe. Oh, whatever. Okay, very good. Very smart kids. And this? All these, you know. This one? What is C1? C1. Namaste. Which one is airport authority?
B1.
B1. And this is
Third one is Reliance.
B3. And what Reliance?
Anil Ambani.
Ah,
Canara Bank. Canara Bank Colors.
this one? B1. ITC. Welcome group. Okay.
UIDA.
Everything. Perfect.
That's not actually other, it's UID.
You are Indian. Okay. Great. Chocolate period. What is this? What is C? C3 is India Post. India Post. C4 is somewhere, he said no. And C5? Whoever answers C5 is exempted from submitting assignment. No, we don't want to attempt. Okay, I'll update. Whoever answers C5 is exempted from taking the exam. Oh, offer them chocolate. Okay, whoever answers will get a chocolate. I thought exams is better than chocolates, man. I'm telling you.
Exams also in chocolate.
Okay, exam and chocolate. But who can answer? You have enough ink to tell you what it is. Somebody's saying online. There. No, nobody's saying anything. Anybody's commenting on what is C5? Online?
MATLAB software.
No. It's a very tough one that the professor can offer you exemptions from exam. Think, why am I saying all this? That's because that's a logo of my company. So you see, the point is that all of these are such hugely recognizable logos. And I think my logo will also be recognized. No.
What is the name?
This is my company, Aniara. ANIARA.
Everyone should get chocolate.
Because you all have to give me the chocolate. So the idea is we are opening up a conversation on branding. Pay attention. We are opening up a conversation on branding. branding is such a very, very powerful tool that the very look of that will give you an excitement. The moment you look at Danish, somebody is thinking of buying. The moment you look at McDonald's, yum, you start feeling hungry. It's very natural, okay? And so logos are very, very powerful, and branding is a huge topic. Look at how the Nike story has evolved. Earlier, the logo was, there was a swoosh. They had to tell you what that swoosh stood for. So they said it was Nike. And right now, just a swoosh is enough for you to know what the branding is. That's the element of it. The moment you look at it, I want you to say, imagine an apple, 99% of you will imagine the apple logo, not necessarily the apple as a fruit. So that's the power of what a logo can do. That's the power of what a marketing and a branding can do. So we are going to discuss about marketing and branding in the next 1 hour or whatever time is left. But before you go there, look at how McDonald's has evolved over a period of time. So they have made a lot of entry. And when McDonald's wanted to enter India, they said that we will have our first establishment in Bangalore. And somebody said, sorry, you're copying my logo. McDonald's said, what do you mean I'm copying your logo? They said, no. MC Mallappa and company, you used to have a McDonald's logo, and they said that it's something we created. They went to the court, they actually had to fight it out, and then McDonald's had to tell that we've been having this logo, I don't know, since wherever that started, since 1983. Yeah, maybe, yeah, he says, I've been using this logo since 1983, and this guy says, I've been using this logo since 1990. So there was a big battle, and finally, of course, PC Mallappa had to change their logo. So branding is something that's very, very crucial to how we do our conversation. So what is a brand? How does a branding work? And give me some examples of how branding helps. Branding helps you to recognize a particular thing, okay, that gives you some kind of a comfort. What else does a branding?
Increases the market value.
Increases the
Market value of
market value of the product,
Adds value to a consumer.
adds value to the consumer, gives you a sense of safety or sense of whatever that could be. Correct?
customer.
Same thing, market value to it. And how do you are now allowed to use that prohibited word there. Yeah, so how does that help you on the price?
Even if
Even
Product
you
is,
can,
product is good to the consumer.
or the product has a great
Great
branding.
branding. Then
Then
price is more also consumer will buy it.
the price is also, the consumers willing to pay a higher price. Because that's the positive thing that a brand can do for you. What else can a brand do?
impression,
Trust. Trust is a very important parameter of a brand. Yeah, you trust the product, you can walk it, and there's lots of examples that we have, but for some reason, my wife believes that the kind of trust that one has on the Maruti car.
Paragon.
Yes, absolutely. Those are some great examples. So that is what is branding is all about. So let's talk a little bit about the role of a brand and advantages. We spend a few minutes talking about it. Another 100 logos out here. Just the logo is enough for you to define what you feel about the company. So now let's look at some more examples. The role of a brand. it's. Am I missing out on my? Some of the because. Yeah. The role of a brand, it identifies the maker, obviously, you know what it means. Signifies product handling, quality, all of things that you, in some way, secures a price premium. That's the point. Here you are allowed to use the word price if it is to a positive benefit. Same, a little more of detailing out here. And then attributes of a strong brand excels at delivering benefits. Just wondering if I missed a slide. Brand identity. Where? Just give me a minute, huh? I may have been picking up the wrong set of slides. Okay. Yeah, I think so. The thing is, one is brand identity and second is brand positioning. So what is the other two words associated with positioning? What comes before positioning? Targeting, and before that? Segmentation, targeting and positioning. And where does positioning happen? Where does positioning happen? Remember, in the middle of the night when I wake you, we should be able to say positioning happen in the mind of the consumer. It's what the consumer thinks of you. It's in his mind. I like this product. I somehow like this. I don't like Pepsi. Why? I don't know. I don't like Pepsi. That's it. It's my mind characteristic feeling about it. So, how do you position them and how do you manage? Look at these two brands. This is Coke versus Thums Up. A typical Coke ad, what does it talk? A typical Coke ad talks about the family gathering up, everybody gathering up, maybe for Pongal or for Diwali, all that nice. Dosa ke saath or festival ke saath, Coke and all that. But what about Thums?
Adventure.
Adventure, macro image. It's the same thing. It's the same bad sugar, but it's how you position it. So these two are fighting. These two are fighting for a huge market share all the time. Coke has got 50% market share, Pepsi has got 49. Then another guy comes up and says, "I'm ready. I'm not fighting for this battle. I am a totally different positioning of the product." The guy who is drinking Red Bull doesn't touch one of these unless it's got an accompaniment to your primary drink. Otherwise, so Red Bull positions himself as a totally different. You have a hangover, you probably take a Red Bull, you want to, and that too, they get into so much of trouble that they had to use the word wings with a double I. Yeah, so you see how you can position. You can position them and fight the battle, or you can fight this battle separately. Look at all these companies. Tata, Land Rover, you know all of them. Each of them are trying to fight for a position in your mind. What does Maruti say? Maruti says that I am a low cost, reliable, less featured car, efficient car. Audi says I am expensive, I am inexpensive, but I am stylish. Correct? Then Honda may say I am probably expensive or conservative. Each one of them have their own, looking at that small niche market and trying to position them in your mind. And then a guy called Tesla comes. He says, I don't care about all. I have a different brand of position. I am expensive, I am stylish, I am good for nature, I am good for the environment. You can go to sleep in my car. Right? I mean, that's so. How do you position your brand is left to you, whether are you fighting a battle Or are you on a different level, on a different frame? Yes.
Some companies, which can represent whole industry of that,
Yeah.
what we call for them, for example, JCB. If we just say JCB, we have many other companies, companies who produce their moving equipment. Caterpillar, Opel, but when we say JCB, it means that JCB is one company, but it represents the whole.
You may be, I have a JCB, when I come and see the one in your, wherever work site, it could be a Caterpillar, but you have just described it as JCB.
And like
Right.
Bisleri also earlier, Bisleri, if you call Bisleri, it means it is
Mineral
just,
water, mineral water is called as.
Bislady, yeah. But more than that, there's another bigger example. Xerox. And Xerox got it so wrong. Xerox got it so wrong. I'm going to give you two stories, just because you started. So Xerox said, I go and then I noticed that Xerox done here. I walk in there, there's a Canon machine, there's some machine, and then Xerox got so angry. They said, how dare you guys make my brand, a logo, a name into a common noun? Not possible. You have no right to use it. They ran behind each one of them and said, so now you say photocopying that. It's generally felt that Xerox screwed it. You could have slowly managed your brand and told that, allowed them to use the brand Xerox and told them that not all Xerox shops are Xerox. You could have managed that very, very well, but they really damaged it. That's the one. The other story that I want to tell you was, no, wait. There was this Salman Khan movie. There was this Salman Khan movie in which there was this line, Jandu Bomb. What is that? What is that line called? Jandu song. Yeah, what is that song line?
Jandu Bomb.
My Jandu Bomb movie or whatever. One line before that would have helped me. But anyway, the thing was they used the word my Jandu Bomb movie or whatever that. So Jandu Bomb got very upset. They said, how dare you use our brand even without taking our permission? And they decided to drag these producers to the court and even sue them up. Over a time, they noticed that Jandu Bomb sales have gone up. Isn't it? How it's become Jandu Bomb? All the time we said, yeah, Vicks lagao, yeah, we don't koi Vicks nahi, Jandu Bomb lagao. So what turned out to be an anger for Jandu Bomb turned out to be a delight. For no reason, they just having a super sale. And so that was Dabang 1. And when Dabang 2 came up, somebody got better, and Fevicol approached them and said, put our name in. You see what branding can do and how to play around with words is. So that is what is the whole thing about how you manage a brand. And many a time that whole Xerox episode is really wrong. I mean, you really, they could have done it better. So, sir, I'll do Paytm. Now, the Paytm has now become such a common thing, but I might be actually doing a Google Pay. But I'm sure that's Google Pay is a mouthful for us. We're not even, I don't know how many of you, but I have a tendency of saying we'll do Paytm, but actually open my Google Pay. So that is
because that
so the story of the JCB goes like that. Yeah, so sometimes you answering to your question is that now JCB doesn't mind. JCB doesn't mind. It's okay, go ahead and use it. And yeah, but not all people play around with it, take an advantage. Yeah, but you wanted to say something.
But what do we call for those kind of the strategies or the whole
That is unexpected. That's a market-driven situation. Nobody can anticipate such kind of a market behavior. Nobody. You try doing it, but it doesn't really work. Okay, go, take a HP. Instead of saying take a printout, no, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. I'll Google it. Google it. And Google is, I'm actually so delighted about it. So it's not there. But many a time you really believe, oh, okay, but there could be another one. And in my opinion, oh, you have a Yahoo Mail. I think you're a old guy. I don't like Yahoo. Why? I believe that it's no longer. So sometimes but they are all the market creation. You can't create such a thing. You really need to be pretty innovative to do, and it doesn't happen all the time. It takes a while for such things to happen. So that is about brand positioning. And brand is a very delicate subject. Look at this. The role of the brand, as you said, is identify. I've been holding on to a particular logo for the last many classes. So, you know all these logos, you know them very well. That is Tanish, right? And this is Intel inside. What does it mean? That it doesn't matter which computer it is, it has got. So trust me, it's a reliable one. And this is, where should I go? Should I eat, not eat, whatever. So I'm not able to see clearly. There's some kind of a hallmark on the gold there. So what is this? What is that pay there?
Previous version of Google Pay.
Previous version of Google Pay. You know what? Surprisingly, I must tell you, and this is some analytics that I have been doing, is that this is probably eight batch of students that I have been talking to. Whenever I ask, yes, I know, this is no, I don't know the logo. So it started with, they used to identify that logo stage. Then all of a sudden it dipped like this. Now it's come back. There was the first two batches would immediately identify Cage or Stage, whatever you want to call it. And then there was a huge dip. This may be a second. This may be, if this is your 8, I'd say 6, 7. So 3, 4, 5, or 6, they could not identify this. So which actually means that they're older than you, these patches generally, but of late that brand has a better recognition, which is very good. I really thought. So, but why did Google do taste? Just Google app, right? Why?
Because Taste was only for Indian.
Easy to? Why? Because taste is a very nice word.
It is a main
Faster, I think two things. One is faster, another thing is Paytm, we used to load the money and then Google Pay.
No, we are discussing branding.
faster.
No right to bring technology.
No, actually, Taste was first introduced only in Indian market. Then globally they introduced to Google Pay. In a right
Why
to Apple.
Why Google has, but now what happened to taste in India? The taste is gone, dead.
Yes. Now it's Google.
Taste becomes, so why not use Google? The idiots there, simply spend so much of crores of Google. But Google,
Indian.
they wanted to
Brand because they wanted to come up with the new name Google.
why?
Because they had already had lot of users.
They wanted second branded.
And so, but then why did they kill the brand?
Brand was not so popular compared to Google.
You almost getting there, but
Google has a better branding.
Google has a better branding. And Google introduces taste. There's something funny. Don't you agree? So why?
Get a brand value.
To create another brand.
Hang on, I'll give you another alternate. I'll give you an alternate. What is taste? Taste is a payment. So what are the words associated with payment?
There is no pay.
There's a bank associated with it. Then there's a regulation associated with it. Then there is operational challenges associated. What is happening to WhatsApp Pay? I like that. More or less, they're struggling. They're struggling.
In coma.
In coma. Okay. So now you tell me Why was Stace brought in? Think about it.
If it fails, it will lose the brand value for me.
If it fails, you're perfectly right. If Stace fails, and why could Stace fail? Because it's the comment says you're a foreign company, I'll not grant you license. Somebody can find something wrong with something within maybe the ownership issue or something like that, and boom, they are not supposed to find out, like we're having fun talking about WhatsApp Pay, one time, if you notice, Paytm was so worried about WhatsApp Pay that they introduced chat in their services. Because they said, WhatsApp has a chat, I'll also have a chat. They were worried about a company which after 5 years, 6 years, has still not got the license to operate. So what if Google gets into such trouble? Now everybody says Google Pay is a flop. No, what would have flopped is Tails. And not many of us actually know that Tails and Google are same. But now when all of them have Tails has become very good, it's the right time to remove the curtains and say, hey guys, I am Google by what? Oh, this is for Google. Now greater confidence, there's more money, and it does. No, I can't. Okay. So that is what it is. Is it that? Yeah, I think we'll take a break. I need a break. The role of a brand will come back on this. Right? What is that?
Take my name, don't postpone. Thank you.
Yeah, correct. No, even if he had said postpone, I wouldn't have said. I need a break. Okay, we'll gather up at what time? 3:20 or 3:20? 3:20?
Half an hour.
3:10.
The last class we don't want. Maybe they can.
Oh, very good.
So that European company becomes plan.
Indian, I actually, but I think it's more of a European,
Yes.
the Swedish one. I make sure that I drink that when somebody offers it, but I don't pay. They're very expensive. What that for?
Everywhere.
Everywhere.
Yeah. Almost 900.
How much? 500?
900.
Or what they do?
What type of minerals there? Minerals from the mountains.
Mountains.
So who's the new
Big
owner
chocolate
for you?
Good. Wow, who is the new owner of this lady?
Tata.
They have
They took over because daughter of distillery owner, yes, she was not cannot handle it, so
yeah.
and they wanted to give it in the good hands and with a good price.
Good. Let's go have some coffee. Where upstairs?
Yes, sir.
Is okay? So, you want to take a break?
Hey, you paid her to be here only.
You were doing a treatment.
You are allowed us to go to, take one half an hour now.
engineering and pharmacology.
Hey, you are good cricket.
Hey, there, what's that?
Okay. Definitely.
So, yeah. Tea, coffee.
Start.
Minutes.
No, but
Take it.
what is it?
Saying, is prepared for exam. I said, no.
Yeah, in Rajinikanth movie, the role. We do it.
No, one thing I know about personal experience. I, but it is there. You keep the You know your.
But unfortunately, there is no book for this. Yes, yeah, laptop. Take a printout of it.
Correct, correct. So now you have chat GPT.
Yeah, yeah.
Chat GPT, just type that. You can use that.
In an exam.
No, but you know what? I was discussing with some of the other chat people. So let's assume your Pratibha. So let's assume Pratibha uses chat GPT. And we actually, of course, get all the answers back. And I never know that he has used chat GPT. So how do we handle this? So one point that we were discussing was to ask Pratibha. So all questions are given, all marketing management, perfect questions where that GPT will be there. Pratibha, give me a summary of the classes that you attended of the course. So now, even types of course you say, I attended, but by looking at that English versus the other English, it is possible for me to make out that, because otherwise people also use the same language and so I was thinking that that is one way to sort out the chat GPT question, is to ask a question which is so specific. Explain in your words the scenery of the classroom. Or, so, I mean, no chat fellow can save you.
What is that?
I don't know, not you guys supposed to be teaching me on that.
Actually, some of the things are blocked in chat. For example, the
Yeah.
experience, today we shared the purchase.
Yeah.
This portion is blocked.
This was just the concept of the okay, so I think everybody is here. Let's go ahead. So we are,
Yes,
so we have completed, it helps, we spent quite, okay, time out, Bharat, time out. Bharat, right? Arun, sorry, I don't know why I said Bharat. I was about to say TVS, but then, I said,
yeah.
but I should have said TVS. I go to a place, near one of those very popular idli joints. And the moment I walk in, I used to work for a company called Blue Star. So the moment I walk in, Namaskar, Blue Star, he would say. So, I mean, it feels good. And then, when my son was young, he used to play tennis and go to that place to eat idli. And I don't know how many of you know this place in Basunagudi called Raman's Coffee Bar. Yeah, you know that it's a wonderful place to go and eat. So he used to play tennis at Mahila Samaja. The beautiful, awesome place to have idli and for a very limited time. So he would walk in, he would say, hey, tennis. So like that, it's sometimes if you get associated with your occupation or by company, you feel greater than calling you Bharat instead of calling you. Correct. Anyway, so. No, what's what I said, calling you Bharat instead of calling you Bharat. I was right? Your name is Rahul. So I can see it. Okay, anyway, so this is where we are. We've done this. The second part of it, the role of the brand, is that it gives you a competitive advantage. Beyond doubt, Avian and Bisleri cannot have a price back. There's a reason why I'm going to pay, and somebody said that Kohli washes parts of his body with that, they said. I don't know. Yeah, so slice. Too high-tech a joke that will not get registered soon. Okay, so that's what it gives you a premium pricing, and then Indigo versus Singapore Airlines or Indigo versus Emirates. Of course, you're flying Indigo is very cheap. We charge you for everything. They don't even allow me to check in. I faced that experience yesterday. I was on a private trip, so I want to go where the cheapest mode. And I can't even check in. They say you buy a ticket or buy a seat, and no free seats are available. So all of that, I know they are stingy, but Singapore Airlines gives you experience, you talk about it, feel good and all that. And I don't mind paying another 5,000 or 10,000, depending on where I'm traveling. So that's what it is. Then I wanted you to pause share. I hope you get the volume here. New share. How do I share a tab? Google Chrome. Getting it? I don't know if you can get the voice here. I think there's a voice.
Pick it up. ऐसे दूर ये मेरी फैमिली के पास ले जाती है आप देंगे ऐसे आप जाने क्यों नहीं
Okay, I'll play it from the very beginning. I think.
तो बस से कभी बात समझाती है Pick it up. घर से दूर ये मेरी फैमिली घर के पास ले जाती है कहाँ देंगे ऐसे आप जाने क्यों नहीं क्या बाती है गले लगा के यारों को क्या तो नहीं नंबर 1 अपनी आ रही McDonald's #1 soda क्या तो
So what's the product? McDonald's #1 soda. But what's the real? So obviously, you know what's happening with them. They're playing around with emotions and things like that, but they are actually talking about a totally different product because that product cannot be officially advertised and talked. So such type of things are known as, any idea what kind of those advertisings are known as? Surrogate advertising, that's called, wherein you, what was that you said? Somebody said something else? What did you say? Okay, doesn't matter. So that is surrogate, wherein you actually camouflage your product through somebody else, or bagpiper music CDs. You go and ask for music CDs, they'll never have one. Or you have said, whatever, Kingfisher playing cards. I mean, they just, as though there's a huge market demand for playing cards, that they put up huge banners on empty road. And everybody is sitting on executive MBA classes and playing cards. But that's how you do it. But there's another way to look at this. There's another ad that I want to play. I hope it works like this. Not, definitely not this ad.
That was our performance in the last quarter. These numbers don't look good at all. Investors look at it. वैसे कुछ areas में sales increase हुई है.
Sir, I think we should launch a new website.
पर एक mobile ad नहीं launch कर दे. I agree. Okay, yes sir. Let's make it a working ad.
भाई साहब, Jaguar lights लग रही हैं.
The largest smart brand in the country now also brings you the magic of light. Jaguar market lights.
So now what's happening here? And how is this ad different from the other?
It contains a little humor.
It contains a humor, no doubt. I think
Hello, மக்களே, வணக்கம்.
this will keep on playing till I see some.
Jaguar trade இருக்கு. So Jaguar-ஓட landlord வந்து சேல் பண்றாங்க. So வந்து உள்ள போய் பார்ப்போம் நம்ம என்னென்ன இருக்குன்னு. சரி சவுண்டா இருக்காங்க உள்ள போயிடலாம் டைரக்டா நம்ம.
Okay, never mind. Okay, so you got the ad of the McDowell's, right? So now what else? Let's spend some time. Let me get your understanding of that.
They have the advertisement for light, but not for the common light. They have the light for the particular parking light. They're showing
What's the product? What's the product they advertise?
and especially
If they advertise lights for bathrooms, that's what he's saying. No, so what do they say?
They're stepping into the light industry.
They're stepping into the light industry. And why are they so confident of stepping into the light industry? Because they have a very strong branding on the plumbing industry or bathroom, bath, whatever that industry. So now you are riding on a success of a particular product and taking that advantage and totally launching into a new product. So that's called extension of your brand. There are two ways in which you can do an extension. You can do what is known as a line extension or a brand extension. We'll talk about line extension and brand extension in a minute. But I hope all of you have looked at that ad and look at it. Line extension is you are Mr. FedEx. And what is FedEx normally known for? Courier or document. I can ship a document from this. So now we just like that's another word. I'll FedEx. I don't say I'll FedEx, and it actually comes to by India Post too. But that's beside the point. So I mean, actually, what happened was I wanted this particular document to go and to a company in China, and they said, "Will you FedEx it?" I said, "I'll FedEx it," but I went to India Post and then they said, "Where's the FedEx? Where's the FedEx?" I'll give you the link for the FedEx, but actually going India and Post.in, that's the point. So it becomes so FedEx believes that they are kings or they are the champions in document movement. They know very well how to move one document from place to another. Let's use this advantage to move into FedEx Office, FedEx Ground, FedEx Express, FedEx Freight, FedEx Freight. They're still in the same business. The business of moving stuff from one place to another. They've always been doing documents. They can even do laptops or freight or anything. So that is known as a line extension. You're still in the same sector. You're not moved out. Tanso was known for, or rather Swiggy was known for shipping food, but they also say I can do couriers. The Swiggy Genie or something like that. So that is known as a line extension. A line extension is very easy because you're almost automatically getting into a sector that you know very well. I walk into an office, I pick up a document, and I notice that somebody else is picking up one huge consignment. I'm already in that. Why would I not want to pick up that up? So that is a line extension. But a brand extension is when you totally move into a different line of business. What's plumbing got to do with electricity? I mean, with lighting. Actually, they're the worst of the enemies. Imagine if they both meet. Or water and light. It could be disaster. So, but you take advantage of a beautifully built up brand to move into a different line. And that's what Mr. and Mukesh Ambani is doing left, right, and center. Jio, Mart, Jio, and everything is Jio. Baki sir? Maro. Okay. Okay, anyway, you understood what is that McDowell. So definitely you will get a question. Somebody wanted to know. Definitely you will be asked what's the difference between a line extension and a But don't take everything for granted. Just because Mr. Colgate is there always in everybody's bathroom, he cannot go into or land rather the other way around. What is that? What is that? Harpic. You can't have Harpic toothpaste. That's a line extension. It's always there. And I'm wanting to brush your mouth there. It's not going to work. You will be very careful when you do a line extension. Harpic is also moving. Harpic is saying we also have specific for working tiles or things like that. That's a smooth line extension without damaging your. And Fevicol has got a huge mass of line extension. They say, are you pasting the raft of a boat, or are you doing anything? There are a million line extension products, so they are so very covered. So this is about taking advantage of the brand. You get into longer, and it's very easy to enter. We just notice, wow, these guys are also into this. They do it. Then, yeah.
So one, for example, if one product is, very successful in the market, and that product is completely sold to another entity. Then again, he's already well versed with that product. He knows everything, but he suddenly sold that product to some company. And after that, again, by other name, again, this person can enter the same product with a different name or something.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I know what you're saying.
So an example is now Vijay was something, but we are.
No, we are.
Yeah.
So yeah, I asked anything about VRL and then something like that. Perfect. Yeah, they had what is that?
Vijay Karnataka is old. And again now,
Vijay one.
Vijay one is now, but he was well versed. The newspaper, he was knowing that background. So now again, whatever he told, he's competing to that again.
So when does it work? So easy. It doesn't work so easily. Okay. Anyway, I'm an expert in storytelling. So it doesn't work. So when Vijay Karnataka was sold, the agreement would be that you will not enter that industry for 5 years. So in this 5 years, you have a choice. Who is you in this case? Who bought this brand? Who bought this brand? Times of India brought it.
Yes, correct.
So you can say slowly you can move it to, if you are interested, Karnataka Times of India. Or Karnataka Times of India, because everything is called Times of India. You could change your own name and do it. Or if you want to keep this name, because this name seems to be so powerful that they are keeping this name. But at the end of the 5 year, everything is gone. So now he can come back and say Vijay won. He doesn't stop, but there's a 5 year no compete agreement. And I'm just saying 5 year, it could be 10 years, it could be 3 years or whatever it is. If you notice, the division of Reliance happened, and this is an Anil and this is Mukesh, right? So Mukesh took up so many of these products. Among the products that Anil took up was Reliance Mobile, right? Reliance Telecom. Reliance Communicate. Reliance Communicate. So, and who actually, the background is that it's Mukesh actually spent a lot of effort and he started this brand, but it went to him. So they said that there's no compete agreement between the two companies. So you cannot enter into a mobile operations who Mr. Mukesh for a certain period of time. So just when that period of time was just about to expire, he got another company to bid for that LTE or 4G license. And when that company got that contract, he bought into that after that period. And so that is how, so that is how it happens all the time. The brand is painfully built. And now who talks about Reliance Communications? It happens. He took the name Big. That's why you have Big TV and Big thing, whereas he took the name Geo. And you see how it works. Answers? So we talked about extension. There are 4 ways in which you can do it. One is extension, product, endorse, and monolith. We discussed extension. What are the two types of extension? Brand and line. The other way of doing it is product. This is a set of products from Unilever, from Procter and Gamble. Look at all of them. They all have different names. They all have, this is, I can't see them, it says Tide, then whatever, there are Pure. There is so much of the branding involved that Unilever and Procter Gamble as a logo may not even be visible. It'll be very, very small. So they are developing huge product related brands. Duracell, Tide. I never knew Tide was Porter, somebody else, or Old Spice is also one of these Procter & Gamble. So what they do is they're building a brand around them. So if one of the product misbehaves, it's not going to affect totally because only that product has to be killed or that product brand has to be killed. So there's no real effect. That's one way to do it. There's another way of doing it, which is look at the way 3M does it. What does 3M do? 3M has hundreds of products. They have hundreds, and you don't even know the name of those things. You just look at the product and you say, wow, that's a 3M product. Okay, I'll buy it. So the brand is irrelevant, but they brand it because they have to compete. But it's the endorsement by 3M which tells you that it's a reliable. Just like I don't mind whichever computer that you sell it, as long as it says Intel inside. I don't mind. The computer is fine, but there's Intel inside, so that's a convincing. So one is product, other is endorsed. Then we have a third type. What is the third type? Monolithic. Monolithic is, it doesn't matter what product that they have, it's always called LG. It's always called LG. You could be buying an LG fridge, you could be buying an LG washing machine, you could be buying an LG phone. It will have LG phone 1, 2, 3. Washing machine, you will have 4, 5, 6. But the brand is just LG. There are no some brands which are being done. It's always Samsung so and so. This is not Samsung little son or whatever stuff. It is not like that. So we just have a monolithic brand. Then we have one more, which is hybrid. You can't see it very well, but obviously when you get it, you will be able to see it a little bit. Is that there's so many segments that you are approaching. If you're in the hotel industry, there are all kinds of, somebody wants to stay in a 5-star, somebody wants to stay in a low-cost thing. So why do you want to dilute your Marriott brand? So you will have Marriott Courtyard, which is possibly the most cheapest one, Courtyard. Or you may even have, what is that, Ritz-Carlton. So did you know that Ritz-Carlton and Courtyard were by the same company? No, but they are, but they make sure that they're so hybrid in nature that they, even Lee Meridian is a product of the Marriott Group. There are lots of companies that they have. So one other way of doing it is by looking at it from hybrid. And finally, brand equity. What is brand equity? The brand itself has value. The brand itself has so much value. For example, what did Tata do? Tata was running Vistara, and they bought an airline called. And what are they going to name the new entity called? They're going to name it Air India. Okay, till the P Gates episode, Air India was a great brand, but even now I'm sure that's a minor episode. They got so much of brand equity. They would have done the calculation and said, okay, Air India has got 200 aircrafts, Air India has got 500 parking slots. Okay, let's put all of that together, 10,000 crores. But Air India as a brand, let's add another 2,000. So the brand itself brings you a lot of pain. Like very recently, some company bought the brand Kelvin. That's a Kelvinator, a very, very old, my father's time refrigerator, but now it wants to come back. There's a brand, the Udupi. You go to Bombay, the very word, you want to eat some good food, go to Udupi. That's the brand, like we have SLB or all of the Sagars or whatever. That brand itself brings you a lot of comfort. So with this, we are done on branding. You guys have any questions? We can start off, right? Done? Then what do we have? Enough for today? Or,
So one question.
yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so regarding the branding, like for example, as you mentioned, the Vijay Karnataka and Vijayawani. So would it be that trademark issue like Vijaya and Kota Vijaya? So would that be a problem? Like if someone,
No, they would have worked out the final details of how it works out.
even there would be Palace, there would be Sagar or something.
Who wants that? Who actually wants the branding? It's become a popular name.
There is no.
There's no really, who's there? Actually, now you have Bangalore Cafe. I mean, I'm sure that Bangalore Cafe is in Janagar itself, I know two of them. So who wants it? Well, it's a popular name, it just runs. And you also feel comfortable by your previous experience that I have. But you know how Bisleri is. But if you look at it carefully, it may not even be a Bisleri. Bisleri with a double I. Yeah, so all kinds of, because that is so powerful. MBA China. I know Papu China. You know Papu China, a brilliant place to have tea on HSR there. Yeah.
We don't have.
MBA China. Okay, so yeah, so you create your own. Now Papu China is a very popular thing. And you know, two political characters have those names. You know. So that you know what I'm trying to say. Yeah. Okay, so all that is fine. But now let's get to reality. You're more worried about, okay, you ask what questions you have on your exam. Now we'll take a break. We'll have focus on virtual and exam. Yes, sir. What's the first question? You want to ask a 5-mark question or a 10-mark? Yeah. Can I sit there and read? So, first slide. Till. They want more. In between, you can remove one or two. Okay, honestly, I'm taking away. Honestly, if you are following, if you believe that you can read my slides the way you heard my slides, then no problem. I must tell you that this is not a regular exam, and it's true with everything. We cannot give you, there's nothing called syllabus, so everything is going to be out. So, or everything is going to be within the topic of discussion, right? I mean, let's say ITC, a brand which was doing out there, they decided to introduce a product called ITC oils, and it didn't seem to do well because ITC was associated with cigarettes. So, what kind of a brand arrangement were they trying to do? Or something like that. If you can understand, you will do that. Okay. Then anything else? Let's get rid of that. Who's got exam? Honestly, there is more. Most of them have done well. And most who haven't done well, they'll never do well. So don't bother. And the guys I know in this group, none of you will have.
Question about this creative barrier.
Create barrier to entry.
I think some company, for example, Pidilite, they have some project like Fevicol or Fake. Even though they're so large, a lot of other competitors, even they're entering. Product reads such a way, such a level of price and quality. Still, they don't need to have with any government. Still, they create a customer value to use it.
So brilliant question. I don't know if all of you heard. The barrier to entry is, how do you, barrier to entry, one of the quotas by forces, is that what I told you was, if you're such a large company, a new entrant cannot enter because he does not qualify. He doesn't have those 100 crores. Yeah. But the barrier to entry is provided you have the greatest goodwill with your user. And who is your customer? For Fevicol, who is the customer?
Everybody. Construction.
Who is Fevicol's customer? Carpenter is their most. And you know what? I have had conversations, you don't mind listening to this, right? So I have had conversations with these carpenters and asked them, why don't you buy another product? He says the kind of education that we get from Fevicol, we know exactly Fevicol 731 or Fevicol 732, I know which one. And they are so well connected that they just will not. And there's no chance for maybe another 10, 15 years for somebody else to enter into. But there'll be that thin small market which will be exist. They'll never, no company can have 100%. There'll be that 1 thin percent or 5%, and they don't mind that 5%. And somewhere else I read, or maybe in the previous term, they were saying, just buy the brand, that's it. If somebody is really threatening you, actually, how much it cost me to buy this small brand which is specialist in Fevicol for toys? I just buy him up and that's it. Like,
Even I was analyzing their very quick 5 rupees one. Actually, if you see, they don't have manufacturing South. They sell it from Gujarat. They're able to sell it 5 rupees, the small packet, including the packing, the plastic, the cover, the transportation.
can you imagine how much?
Large market they have, and they capture.
But what is the alternative to it?
Detect is there.
Yeah, but I is there. There are one or two of them.
Still detects the.
Yeah, but then when you ask the shopkeeper, which is, he is just a bit, because you know, they are treated well and.
So same happened with Thumbs Up.
Thumbs Up.
Actually, Thumbs Up was in good hands, I mean, in market. But suddenly Pepsi or Coca-Cola, they.
Yeah, but Coca-Cola bought the
Coca-Cola.
brand, but they noticed that Thumbs Up had some great reasoning, including it, rum tastes better with Thumbs Up rather than with Pepsi, whatever crazy argument that is, but that's it. And so they tried to kill the brand Thumbs Up.
They even.
But they were not able to, because the liking for Thumbs Up is there. Now Thumbs Up has become a big brand. It is just out there, and there's also one more brand that they picked up. And so it happens all the time. The brand is so powerful. We like the brand and we're willing to go and Bindu.
Not been purchased by
Comparatively, for Coca-Cola and.
So now let's move out of brand and love, affection to. I think we should not be so nice with our company. We should hate. We should kill them. Correct? Why should we be nice? The market share you want to have, how much market share do you want to have? 100% market share. That's what it is. We don't want it. So today's discussion is about playing the company. The art of war, or rather the art of business. So we're going to look at how battles happen on the ground and what is it. So now before we get there, what is the primary motive of any organization? Very simple. At the end of 18 into 3 is how much? 18 into 3 is 54 plus 17 is how much? 71. At the end of 71 hours of your first term MBA, because we got 1 hour left, if you cannot tell me what is the motive of business of any organization, then you're failed. Profit. What is that? Customer satisfaction? Never.
Kill the competitor.
No. Money. the entire motive of any organization, it may, you can sugarcoat it. Whatever way, every organization wants to make money and it wants to make more money next year. So it only wants to make money and grow. It's nothing else but growth there. It might want to say it wants to improve market share, it wants to improve relative market share, they are all terminologies. But then go Dalma, just how can you grow without stepping on somebody else's feet or somebody else's market? So you can only grow when somebody else does not grow, or you can only eat when you snatch somebody else's food. So let's get the very basic of our conversation, right? So that you can follow the rest of the topic. The main goal of every enterprise is to profit from its activity. Correct? We are not here to be nice and chalo, I am Fevicol, I'm so happy, you go ahead and enjoy. I'll also give you some of my business. And growth is the oxygen of every org. If the company is not growing, company is bad. Company has to grow. And 3 months of or 3 quarters of non-growth is called recession in the world. For 3 months, if the GDP growth doesn't happen, we are falling into recession. Why do we keep talking about recession? What does recession mean? Is it it's not growing? It just the economy is not growing up. Everybody's stagnant. You know, the best part of the news, in the peak of the pandemic, none of you were going out. Nobody was buying gold. So that was the year when India's import of that few months, 6 months, India's import of gold just collapsed. And India's import of oil also collapsed because nobody's traveling, nobody's doing. It's recession. The price of oil went to -0, if you all remember. So that is, so growth, if there is no growth, you are dead. So how do you grow? You can only grow by penetrating into a rival market. I get into somebody else's market, then only have. IIM is conducting an executive MBA class. Diane Sagar is conducting an executive MBA class so that it matches those people who are going out there and pull them up. That is the only way that you can. So how do you fight this battle? This is actually a battle because the book is called Art of War by Sun Tzu. Sun Tzu is a very, he actually describes war, but some British or American translator has converted that into using it into market space and looking at how war happens. So now let's look at what is this. We'll forget this. There are 2 basic parameters for you to discuss when it comes to how will you enter a market and how will your competitor behave. One is known as competitors' reactiveness. The other is attractiveness to you. So now, if a certain market is very attractive to you, which is the most attractive market for you? P, right? Highest on the attractive. How much will the competitor react? Low, right? So the B market, the competitor is least worried if you enter that. But look at a market like a D or E, let's say D. Attractiveness for you, very high. Competitors' reactiveness, equally high. Try entering that market, the competitor will fight you, will punish you, will push you, do everything that's possible to retain that market. So understand 2 terminologies, competitors' reactiveness and competitors' attractiveness. The competitor loves this market, E, but you are not interested in this market, so you will not really buy. So you got it? Let's look at 2 examples. Small slide, but let's not too bother about it. There is American Personal Care, Procter and Gamble versus Unilever. If Unilever enters American Personal Care, Procter and Gamble is going to be very, very angry because they are going to react very strongly. But if Unilever enters European food market, Procter and Gamble is not going to be bothered because they don't really care about this particular one. Similarly, if Unilever enters female hygiene market, that's a beautiful market for both Procter and Gamble and Unilever. There is going to be war. Okay, so what are the types of war that happens? The types of war that happen are feint, gambit, this particular line, feint, gambit, onslaught, and contest. So we learn about each one of them and look at how do we go. What is onslaught? I think I should go full screen. But how do I go full screen? I am not downloaded. Move to. I'm doing it from my change background, apply background. Anyway, don't bother. We'll manage it. I don't use time. So one way, what is onslaught? Onslaught is a deadly attack on the competitor. Onslaught is where you cannot read it. It's heavy price cutting without even caring for profits. I'm willing to cut the price, go below profit, but I want to save my money. And no way I'll allow this. Heavy expenditure on marketing, advertising, promotion, and at the end of the day, there is usually one winner. At the end of the day, there'll be one winner and one loser. All the time, Coke and Pepsi are fighting with each other. Every time it's a big business of fighting, market share, market share, market share. They are always spending all their energies. And another good example of onslaught. Onslaught is like, America was looking for Osama bin Laden. And where were they trying to look for him? In Afghanistan. But did they know where was he in Afghanistan? No. So what did they do? Let's just bomb Gola. Hopefully somewhere in one of those bombs he'll get hit. So that's like onslaught. Heavy bombardment just to get your enemy killed. So that is onslaught. One example of onslaught is Intel was a very attractive or a dominant player in the DRAM business. And before we continue further, these stories take long time to evolve. The whole battle itself will take a couple of years. Those battles have to be acknowledged. The professors have to say, wow, this is a typical example. And then it should get published. Then it should come to it. So we normally cannot tell you stories which are less than 10 years or 15 years. So we are talking about stories which are reasonably old. So Intel was a dominant player in the DRAM market. They were enjoying some great market share. Then the Japanese company like Samsung and Micron, all of that entered the DRAM business. Now, initially Intel said, I'll fight. But then they realized they cannot find these things. They have all joined hands together. Their manufacturing techniques, the pricing of their thing is not possible. So Intel moves out of the DRAM. That's simple. They get out. One a little more easier to understand example is Wipro. Wipro said, we are a wonderful software services company. Why don't we enter the American market? After all, Accenture and IBM have entered India market. Why don't we enter the American market? What was the market they decided to enter? Banking, securities, financial services, and insurance. It's called BSFI. So when Wipro entered the market, IBM and Accenture got scared. They said, oh my God, I mean, if Wipro is going to enter this market, we'll be in trouble. So IBM and Accenture joined hands together and they started dropping their prices to such a low extent that they were even willing to quote below cost just to ensure that Wipro does. That is onslaught bombarding to make sure you do it. The reality was Wipro sustained that thing, fought a long battle, and today it has a reasonably good market share. Wipro did not move out of it. So this is onslaught. This is like real blood, what killing and massacre and things like that. Now, contest. Contest is a little more specific. Contest is a little more nicer. It is not so much of bloodshed and all that. Context normally involves technology. You beat your competitor by using technology. Again, very few examples, but I have my own and I have the official version. Do you know Warner Brothers? Not Wright Brothers. What did they do? What did you guys do? Right. Warner Brothers produced a movie on Wright Brothers. Okay, maybe. Okay. Yeah. So, but Warner Brothers are one of the best known examples of movie producers and things like that. Now, what typically happens in a Warner Brothers life is that they make a movie, and nowadays what happens? We go to the nearest DVD player or DVD shop guy, take that CD, and watch it at home, and 2 or 3 days later, return it back, and 10 rupees, 100 rupees, or something like that. And that's it, it will go on. It so happened, I mean, it's that, so who was making the money? It was Warner Brothers who was investing into this huge technology, huge production, so much of hundreds of 100 million, 200 million. And the guy who was making the movie was the local DVD reseller or the DVD library guy. So Warner Brothers said, this is unfair. How do I fight this? I'm spending so much of money and people are not watching it. They're going and borrowing the CD from there. And the same CD goes 100 times. Okay, and it goes on. So they said, we have to fight this. That's when they have what is an equivalent of onslaught called context, is that they bring in technology. They reduce the cost of the DVD. They said that cost of the DVD, typically a DVD rental costs $1. They said that we'll give you the DVD at $2. So at $2, I think it's better for me to buy a brand new DVD. I can keep it at home, watch it 100 times. And so using technology, they were able to beat out a long-standing competitor and get out of it. Actually, closer home, there's another more very interesting example, which is, how many of you have actually seen the movie Shivaji by Rajinikanth? Virtually everyone. Do you remember, at least I'll tell you when I saw it, do you remember whether you saw it on the first day, second day, third day? I saw it on the second day. And it was the first time in my life that I actually saw a Rajini movie in my first day or the second day. But how was this possible? Look at how TV or movie distribution happens. By the time on Monday morning, you have a pirated version available on the DVD player. And if Josna goes to office, she'll get a WhatsApp link to download that whole movie on her. Correct? So look at the window of opportunity that the producers of the movie Shivaji, there was a company called UT, and he told me the story. And so I kind of converted it into a context. So he said that they realized that I only have Friday, Saturday, Sunday to make my money. If I don't make my money on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I think more or less it's return on. So they did something very, very unique. And now that is replicated in virtually every other a big movie review. They said, let's block all theaters in the city. Let's block all theaters, all shows in the city. So typically, a Rajini movie would run in 15 theaters, 3 shows. And by the time I go and watch it, it's 2 weeks or 3 weeks. And there's no fun because somebody sends me the CD and I've lost the fun. There's no fun in watching it once you've seen it. So, but now they don't book 15 theaters, they book 200 theaters in each city, or let's say whatever the number of theaters. And imagine the number of cities that they're doing. And they virtually have bombarded that theater, and almost 60% of the population which is going to watch it is going to get a ticket to watch it on Monday, Friday evening, Saturday, Sunday. So I remember I posted, hey, I'm going to watch Shivaji on Saturday 2nd. So yeah, our guys who said we already watched it on Friday, which was unimaginable. So a context is when you actually use technology to good beat it. And now you see every other movie, every Shah Rukh Khan movie, every Salman Khan, you virtually have all the theaters blocked it, and then you end up doing it. So that is context. Any questions? I don't think so. Right? Then we have something else called guerrilla campaign. What is guerrilla? What does guerrilla mean? Guerrilla campaign means what is guerrilla war? Hiding under. And what else? Hiding under that is one thing. Also, not following the rules of it. Correct? Don't fight after 5. They're supposed to be, if you look at the Mahabharata story and all, no war after sunset. And who broke the law in Mahabharata? Duryodhana broke the law. Duryodhana broke the law. How? I thought it was the Pandavas. You are Duryodhana?
Because the hit character.
No. So who broke the wall? Yeah. So yeah. So the story was that guy who killed Arjuna's son, Abhimanyu, he from Arjuna in the heat of moment that I'll kill him by the time it's sunset. And nearing sunset is probably 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and the sunset. So this Jarasandha or whatever, I can totally mix up on history, so don't trust me. So this guy comes and he says, I have won because it's already sunset. As he comes out, the sun moves out and he kills. That's because there was an eclipse. There was an eclipse. We all say that it was Krishna's dating. So one of the ways of dating when the Kurukshetra war happened is to find out when was a total solar eclipse in Kurukshetra, which happened between 3 and 5 years. So that is one way of finding out when the real happened. So the idea is guerrilla war is you do something which is against the rules. So now, most of the books will tell you that about this progressive insurance company, very complex, but I have an alternate, which is something that I've been reading. But how many of you know a company called Haya? Haya, what do they do? Electric appliances and things like that, right? They do this, they are called white goods, right? So what Haya is from which one? Which country? Haya is Chinese, if you didn't know. Okay, Haya is Chinese. So now Haya has a great branding in China and most of the other smaller markets around China, maybe Vietnam, Burma, all these things. So they decided to enter the American business. Now, who are the giants of American appliances business? Samsung, General Motors, General Electric, Whirlpool. They are all real big guys, and they will not allow anybody to enter that. So if here they started advertising or putting up their in the showrooms, the showroom guy was not even interested in promoting the hair product. Because he gets better money, he gets fame, and with a better name. So hair was just not able to penetrate that market. I said, how do we do it? Okay, because this is just not working out in our favor. That was when they realized the small window of opportunity for us. Typically, the behavior of the Americans is that you have a long holiday, what do? Take the car and drive. Drive to a nearest forest or drive to a nearest lake, hang on there for 2 or 3 days, stay in a small 3-4 star hotel, which is called a motel. Hotels. So what they did was something very unique. And today is a beautifully discussed case study on Harvard. So what this did was they went and approached all these small hotels, small highway hotels, places to stay, and said, can I replace your refrigerator, your washing machine, your TV, your fridge with our products free? Well, yeah, why not? I mean, why would I not be? And most of them are Patels of India anyway, so they know how to do it. So what they did was, most of the hotel rooms started having AC from here, a refrigerator from here, and a television from here, and maybe even the washing machine was somewhere there was not there. So now, a guy who's going on a holiday sits to experience the hair television, hair refrigerator, and then he gets to feel it. He really has a physical experience of that for 3 days. And sometime later, when he wants to change his product, goes to a showroom and they tell you that the hair said, hey, I know this product. I've used this. What is better experience than feeling it? I've used the TV for 3 days. I've used the refrigerator or the AC was perfect. I didn't feel it. That's an instant sale happening out there. So without even hitting the radar, Hayer was able to get into a significant market share without any one of those players. So that is one way of knowing what is known as the guerrilla campaign. There's the story of Chanakya. I don't know, what is the time? Okay, so Chanakya also has a story on guerrilla campaign. What happens is, which again is similar to the learning of, what's his name? If you guys find some time, you should read about him. You should also, there are additional tips for you. You should follow a Twitter thing called Thinkers 50. Thinkers 50 is a group which every year awards 50 of the best businessmen for some of their latest contributions to this. Last year or the year before that, Blue Ocean and Green Ocean guy, Red Ocean and whatever, the Blue Ocean guy, he won the thing. So there's a very interesting place for you to read about it. So that's probably what it is. Then we have one more, paint. Paint is also very difficult to understand, but I'll try telling you, looking London or talking Tokyo, they say, is that, you know what is that proverb mean? Looking London, talking Tokyo, is a very old saying, is that somebody's eyes are not straight, you know, they're actually looking there but talking here. So you get, paint is when you get your competitor engaged in one battle, but actually fight the battle elsewhere. So that is what is it? Very difficult to understand. There are two examples. One is Nike versus Adidas, wherein Adidas loves its European market. So what Nike does is tries to enter in European market. So Adidas becomes very defensive. And that's the right time that Nike goes and enters maybe an Asian market or another market, so that Adidas is busy trying to hold its own market, and it happens. Little more you can read about it. In the last page, I have each of them very well defined here. So in a way, I'm telling you, in a way, you can read this, it's good enough for your exams. Those are stories for me to tell you. That is Gambit. Gambit is another very interesting thing. Gambit is when you give up one of your products to your competitor. Now, all of us, this is primarily a male use case study. All of us use Gillette. You know, right? So, all of us use Gillette, and Gillette has a virtual market command on that business. So this story goes back to maybe 20 years back, or not even 20 years, 15 years back. What had 1990? Yeah, so maybe around 20 years back. So what happened was Gillette and Bic, and you know Bic today as a pen, lighter, and that kind of a company. Gillette and Bic were one of the two major players in the men's shaving product business. Now, Gillette, how does Gillette make money on their, how do they make money? They give you the stick free, they keep on making money on the cartridge, and the cartridge costs 2 times the cost of the stick. So that's called the long tail business. The long tail business is where you make money, you give away something free, and then you keep making money on it. So Gillette has got lots of these products, Mac 4, Mac 5, all that stuff. That was when Bic realized, hey, these guys are taking huge killing on a product which actually doesn't cost much. So why don't we do one? So Bic came up with what is known as the disposable razor. That's just a plastic extrusion, put some 2 blades on it, 10 rupees or $1, whatever it is, half a dollar, 30 cents, and use it a couple of times and just throw. Now that caught the attention of everybody. Said, wow, disposable razors. Why do I have to buy Gillette razors? So Gillette had to survive the market. So Gillette also came up with disposable razors. Now what is happening? Competitive rivalry. And who is making money? Customer is making money, and both of them, and Gillette especially, is crying because they were making huge profits and they're just not making. So then Gillette invites Bic for coffee and say, "Aajao, beta, baat karenge." So then he says, do something. This is not good for you. This is not good for me. Let's come to an agreement. That agreement is known as a gap, wherein I give up something and you give up something. You give up entire the men shaving or the razor business. And Gillette was also competing with Bic on many other products. And we will give up. You will be the sole player in it. So Bic said, okay, I'll stop producing razors anymore. Gillette immediately within 3 months, what did they do? They stopped their disposable and back to good old times. So that is when you come to an agreement with your player and get into the market. Last one and end of the day for our class and our subject is harvesting. Harvesting is when you divide the market into different regions. So there's no competition. You handle Asia, I handle Europe. No fight. This is typically like today, it's very easy for me to give you the example of the AstraZeneca vaccine. So Serum Institute of India will manufacture for certain countries. Somebody else will manufacture countries. There's no real fight. When you divide the market to your convenience. So that's done. And here is the last line of what these summaries are. Having understood this, I would like you to read through this because it gives you proper definition of what. With that, we are done. And yeah, anything else? Anything? One more time, if you guys have anything, questions on exams, you have 5 marks questions. You have 10 marks questions, and then you have case study for 40 marks. So our typical case study would, what I expect from you to do is use as much of the managerial language. I want you to use all those terms that. So, by the way, Tata did a BCG and then realized that we should move out of, depending on the case study, that we should move out of the dog business that we are presently in maybe vacuum cleaners or something like that. So one, and then you can say that the VRIO model that Maruti did realized that they truly have a competitive. So when you use the word VRIO, I look at VRIO, then I say, do I see the word competitive? I see the word. Okay, yeah, because don't write down because earlier don't write VRIO competitive. Okay, it has to make sense. So they used to say when I was in school, they used to say that there was this English teacher, and he would you just look at your first two lines and then you look at the bottom line. And in between, we used to say, here comes Chandrasekhar, bolts to Gavaskar and all that. So we, of course, it's a joke, but we don't do that. I'm pretty good at reading stuff, so I can read. Anything else you have on it? Don't elaborate too much on your 5-mark. Your 5-mark question should not be more than 3 sentences. Your 10 marks question should be about 10 or 15. You must learn the art of physically writing. Okay, and use graphs, use drawing. After all, you have a handwriting, so you can, if you want, if somebody asks you on the innovative index, draw a graph, make it very nice. So those are the ones. And most importantly, mark your questions. I wouldn't know, and it can be very frustrating for me. And you know what? Frustrations leads to anger. And then it results to all kinds of things. So make sure that you write the question number very clearly. You can do question number 7. You can follow it up by question number 12. Then you can do question number 1. I have no problem. But if you don't write this, I will know where you started it, where you ended it. And then I'll assume that you are purposefully, though it may not be your intention. Okay. Right? Anything else? That's it? Done? Okay, good. All the best. And you have some great professors coming up for your other classes. And enjoy your executive MBA program. And promise to say hello to me whenever you see me. Right? See me on. Or if you are see me at the airport, see me at some location, just say, hi, sir, how are you? Good, let's go.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor.
Oh, thank you, guys. I hope you had a good time. Where's the guy? He wants to come with me. You want to come?
Yes, sir.
I'm going, Shashi.
Didn't we? Hanging out with the professor in China. If anyone wants to join, feel free to join. You know, have a cup of coffee, chats, anything. Sunday evening should be fun.
Sunday is fun day.
People should not. Guys coming?
Separately. I not in this one.
Separate, right? From movie and all I give. I took it in a separate, like you want to do in a thing. You can get a balance, you can get them.
Google, the company portfolio we have.
Copy paste this.
Yeah, I just wanted to see it.